Good day parents, sponsors, guardians and players. We've come to the end of term 2, which means there's another round of reports that have been sent out. This is another informative video as we released in term 1 that's going to take you through the report, giving you a little bit more insight and giving you a little bit more guidance in how to interpret the report. Once again, as mentioned in term 1, if you still have any questions, please direct those to your program manager and they'll be happy to assist. So let's dive right into it. So again, starting off the bat, we've got our player's profile picture in the top, their age and their position. We then have the attendance, and as described in the term 1 report, this is the days attended, the total possible sessions that they could have attended, and the percentage. So in this example, the player attended 94% of the training days. Of those 34 training days, there was 28 gym sessions, 27 field sessions, of which he scored 96% attendance and 93% attendance. Of the 34 training days, he was injured for 8 of those days, which means 24% of the time he had an injury. And of the total sessions, 34, he was sick for 2 of the days, and that gave him a score of 6%. Moving down, we have our testing. Now, this is slightly different to what you saw in term 1, but the tests remain the same. So I'll run you through the tests briefly first. So again, we've got our body composition, which is just height, weight, and his body fat. Then we have strength, which is relative 1 rep max, relative 3 rep max, pull-ups. Just quickly again on the relative means to his body weight. So in this example, even though the player's, even though his 1 rep max in this particular example has stayed the same with his 3 rep max squat, that doesn't mean the amount he pressed weight, he pushed remained the same. So in this example, the player has picked up 2 kilograms and he's lost fat. So in other words, he's picked up lean body mass and his relative bench press remained the same. But that so he would have increased the amount he bench presses because his weight increased, but his relative score is still the same. Moving down to power, we've got our vertical jump and our medicine ball. Again, vertical jump, higher score is better. It's how high you jump. We've got our medicine ball throw. Again, higher is better. It's how far you threw. We've got our endurance and fitness. We've got the repeated sprint. This is the amount of distance you can cover with a certain amount of time. So here a higher score is better. And then we've got the bronco, which is a fixed distance that you must run, which then gets time. So a lower time here is better. Here we've got our baseline result, which is what he scored at the start of term 1, and then we've got our term 2 result, what he scored at the end of term 2, and then as we had in the first term 1 report, we have the SA under 20 standard. On the left, we have a spider diagram. The spider diagram showing the black, which is the position average. So this player you can see significantly higher than the position average. The orange showing that player's score for this term. And then we have the green, which is the SA under 20 standard. So in this particular example, you can immediately see that for body fat, he is significantly higher than the position average, and he meets the SA under 20 standard. It's likewise with the 1 rep max bench, meets the standard and is higher. So an easy way to look at this graph is you basically want to chase your score or your sun score getting to the outer edge of the spider diagram. That means he would meet the SA under 20 standard in every one of the categories. So that concludes the fitness testing side. Moving on to the skill assessment, again, this is the same as term 1. The only difference is based on our UXI rugby curriculum, the core skills have changed for this term. So that, again, that doesn't mean this is all that was trained. These are the 4 core skills that we monitored in this term and that we placed emphasis on as we approached matches and started playing matches. So the process of each of these and the chart you're looking at is the same for all the different skills. So I'm going to just use handling as an example and take you through the handling chart. So at the top we have a line graph. This compares the position average in black to the player's end of term score in orange. The first data point is his baseline score for the player and for the position average, and then we have the end of term 2 score for the player and the position average. So here it's an easy way to quickly see and compare how he scored at the beginning of the year relative, how he improved, how the rest of the group performed, and what he scored now. So this player in this example started below the position average, and while the position average stayed more or less the same, he improved and is now performing better than the position average. Below, we go into more detail on how we determine these scores. These scores are, for all the different skills, are calculated by using 5 key coaching points. The key coaching points are assessed by the coaches through subjective evaluation. The evaluation consists of giving each of these 5 course components of the skill, giving them a rating of 0 to 2. A score of 0 means not competent, a score of 1 means somewhat competent, and a score of 2 means completely competent. Somewhat competent means that the player executes it sometimes, but not all the time, or he executes it all the time, but he's not executing it correctly. And obviously 2 being fully competent and he has the skill. So if we look at this graph, it's comparing baseline in black to his score at the end of term 2. So we've got the follow-through score. So his baseline was 1, and at the end of term 2 he scored a fully competent. And that gives you more information on each of the 5. 5 times 2 gives us a total score of 10 where they get scored on. And the same can be done for all of these charts. So if we use this for an example, the tackle technique. So according to the subjective evaluation, his tackle technique has decreased, and there's been a small decrease in the position average. Now, something one has to consider is when coaching a particular skill and you have a subjective evaluation involved, it's normal to have more bias towards the end of the term, meaning, less bias, meaning at the beginning, when there was a baseline assessment, there may have been more leniency, but then through an entire term of coaching these fundamental components of the skill, when you subjectively evaluate it again, your demand for the execution is somewhat higher, if that makes sense. So because you've spent so much time with the players working on it, you expect them to understand, you are somewhat more strict in assessing at the end of the term. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. So that concludes this informative video. Once again, if you've got any further questions, please feel free to contact your program manager and they can assist you. Again, I wish you all the best. We're halfway through this year. I trust that the players will maintain motivated or stay motivated and keep working at their PDPs, constantly trying to improve. And I wish you all the best, and we'll see you at the start of term 3.